I don't know if there's a number. I did try this. It's called the 5-piece French wardrobe. So every season you would only get 5 pieces. I was not the most successful at that one.
Okay.
I mean, and I think it's because I was very high in my shopping addiction. The Intentional Wardrobe Movement, TIWM, stands for
T, take back your style.
I intentionally shop.
W, wear it, work it, or wave goodbye.
And M, matter.
And you can check out more details in our description. This episode, we'll be looking at what you want versus what you need. The what, why, and how to find the self-control needed to maintain and then add more to your wardrobe. You know, we're constantly bombarded by changing trends, visual marketing, influencers, runway shows, what's trending with the cool girls in our circle, right? There tends to be this divide between what we want or what we think we want and what we actually need to make up a well-rounded wardrobe. So, you know, you don't need to buy something every week.
True.
Right? As a matter of fact, most of us are working with finite space, you know, so we physically don't have enough space in our closet to add an unnamed number. And so we also don't have, you know, an unlimited budget either. So there are financial constraints when it comes to styling ourselves. So the question becomes, how much do you really need? What is the minimum number you need in your closet to make a functioning wardrobe? Does a hard and fast number exist? Then today on this podcast, we're going to analyze the why. Why do you need to control how much you maintain in your closet as well as how much you add per year? What ramifications does this overconsumption have on the greater world, the community at large, and on you?
Yeah.
And then finally, we will examine the how. We work so hard at controlling ourselves and everyone else in our lives, you know, how much we eat, how much we exercise, how much screen time, etc. But, you know, how do we add this one additional issue that requires some self-control to our list? How does one practically put a limit on what exists in the closet and how much we buy more?
Yes.
All right, so let's dig in.
Let's dig in.
So, Sam, you know, how much do you think we really need? And is there a minimum number to create a functioning wardrobe? If there is, what would you say that number is?
So I think that's a really good question. I know that there are a lot of different ideas out there, and one that's is known more about is this Fashion 333 challenge. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have.
And so that was one that I saw where you actually have just 33 items. That includes accessories, shoes, jewelry, and that supposedly will keep you within a season. I don't know if I could really do that. I really don't know. I mean, I have tried the 10 items, and I could see how I came up with almost 40 outfits, but they are kind of repeating themselves, which is okay. That's fine. But it wasn't to me as versatile as it was all basically good for work. It wouldn't be good for other things.
Right. Well, and I've also seen this challenge, and I know that some folks say, oh, you know what? I'm going to pull out my workout gear or my tennis gear or my surfing gear. I'm going to pull all of those things out because functionally it's very difficult when you have the 333 to say, oh, everything that I need is going to be right here. But I actually, I struggled with that because I did try it. And the way that I did it was I turned my hangers around just so that I could see it in that way. Because I think before you start something like this challenge, you really do need to say like, oh gosh, you know, what are the pieces that I love the most? The interesting part of that is to make it work, I had to utilize some pieces that I, in the end, found out that I didn't really love them.
Oh.
Yes, and I did not want to wear them, so I was outfit repeating quite often. And then, you know, that becomes a little taxing on your clothing itself, and how long is that sustainable?
The longevity.
The longevity of your product, yes. So, you know what, I actually looked at a survey from Berlin's Hot or Cool Institute.
Oh.
And these folks were really interesting because they gave us a little bit more of a runway. And I thought, okay, I can use that definitely to guide me in terms of how I'm creating a functional wardrobe. They said, hey, you know what? Really, the magic number is 74.
Oh.
Yes, 74 is
Okay.
the number. Who knew? And they're saying that in general, our goal is to try and create about 20 outfits in total.
Okay.
Per season. So if we're going to, well, they're not saying per season. They're probably saying per year. But I'm going to say, let's start out small, y'all. But, you know, in general, what you really need to make your wardrobe work would be about 20 outfits.
Yeah.
So I think, and why I said the word season is I think that makes sense, right? Because you don't always need a coat.
Right.
You don't always need a pair of shorts. So, you know, you can interchange those staple pieces. And then you could limit that number, but they say as an example, 6 outfits for work, which is tough, y'all, because
well,
6. I'm just going to say maybe we might need to use separates in this occasion.
Right.
If you're just going to do 6, because then that really means every single week you are going to be repeating that.
Yeah.
So I would say if you're going for the 6, make sure they're separates. 3 outfits for lounging, which is great. And, you know, we've really blurred that line with like the you know, the sweater jacket and the fact that you can just really wear some joggers to work.
Athleisure, right?
Yeah. Athletic wear is my favorite. So, you know, 3 outfits for sporting events. There are definitely the ladies that always wear the tennis skirts and they're not playing tennis. So there you go. I do play tennis. So I guess that would have to be some of my sports, but 2 outfits for festive occasions.
Okay.
So limit it to 2. And then 4 outdoor jackets, trousers, or skirts. We live in Texas, so I don't need 4 outdoor jackets.
No.
I actually live with 1, and that's my ski jacket, which is interesting because I live in Texas, so how much do I ski? I don't ski that often.
In February, though, it gets very cold.
It does get very cold. It does snow. And so what I found is that the ski technology now, it's really great because it's great for rain. It's great for snow. So you can, and they're so cute. Like I use my little Evermeyer and it's so super cute.
Oh, we have the same one, I think.
We do, with like the little fur hood.
Yes.
Faux hood. But, you know, if you get something that has multi-pieces, then you can use it for many different areas. So, you know, you can always unzip it. And so when it's lighter, you can wear it as, you know, in the springtime. So that's how much these folks say really works, 74 garments. Do you think that makes sense? Because it's a little bit more.
I feel like that's doable at least. Versus 33.
33 was hot. I
mean, that includes like jewelry and shoes. I mean, like, seriously.
It wasn't enough. I found out just with shoes when I was doing that challenge, I was really struggling because I was on my feet all day. And I know you're on your feet too. So for our jobs, you know, I was on my feet. I was on my hands and knees. I was in people's closets. I mean, I'm in a closet.
She's active.
I'm an active closet digger, right? Like, no, I mean, that's what I do for a living. So, you know, even when I worked at the Real, I spent a lot of time crawling up ladders in attics and, you know, yet I had to be like incredibly stylish and cute. So it was tough for me. I just kept 2 sneakers. I kept a black pair and I kept a navy pair. And my navy pair had some had some gray on it. There were some golden goose, like with some gray glitter. Yes. And then the black, you know, black is great because it's just black is just works with everything. So, but I struggled because I was like, I don't always want to wear sneakers. Like they're just moments where I wanted to feel a little bit cuter, but my day-to-day work where I had to be standing all the time. So, you know, who doesn't love to put on a little wedge? Yeah. To go out to dinner.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I just need a little wedge in my life, y'all. So I was like, ooh, am I willing to sacrifice it? So I think 74, you know, it's
more
doable.
Reasonable.
It is more reasonable. Okay, so the big question here, and this is a good question, how much should you add per year to your wardrobe?
Ooh, okay.
And is there a number?
I don't know if there's a number. I did try this. It's called the 5-piece French wardrobe. So every season you would only get 5 pieces. I was not the most successful at that one.
Okay.
I mean, and I think it's because I was very high in my shopping addiction. Like I was like really into it. So I was trying all these shopping diets and all these other things.
Shopping diets?
But I did.
I love this. Okay, because that's essentially what we're talking about here, right? Like,
yes.
we know we need to be on shopping diets, but how do we do it? So, okay, so then the 5.
It's a 5 French wardrobe.
Okay, and it could be any piece.
Any piece.
Those
like,
5, so it could be all 5 handbags.
Yes.
You guys know I love my handbags.
Exactly. So they could be investment pieces, but they're supposed to last you for the season. But the reason why it didn't work for me is because I did not go to the origin of my shopping addiction. Like, why was I shopping? So there were a lot of things.
There were a lot of things. You have to delve into the why,
We've
y'all.
talked about that, yes.
Yes, this is why you must all read the, Find Your Why book. It's really good for you. No, I think that's a good note about it's a little introspection. And that's what a lot of these things here can do for you too. Ultimately, when you just take a pause, you take a step back and you say, oh, you know what? I'm trying. I'm gonna really analyze this whole sustainability and how I can change my behavior and how I can change my relationship to fashion.
Yes.
That is sort of freeing, right?
Yeah.
Because then you can say, and sometimes diets don't work. We know this. But at the end of the day, when you find yourself standing, because this is obviously never happened to me, silently closing the door to the pantry to stuff some cookies in your face because you don't want your children to see you. Because you've been all like, oh, I'm not eating cookies this season. I don't know about you, but I am on a health kick, y'all. I mean, you can eat those chocolate chip cookies if you want. And then you do find yourself like
behind
closed doors, right, eating the chocolate. It really does at least give you a little bit of insight as to what is happening there. And like, oh, that chocolate, it had a caffeine boost and it had like a dopamine. Like there was something like physical about your reaction to that, right? And how can I do those things in more healthy ways?
Right.
So it gives you that opportunity.
Exactly. But then also, like, a lot of times when we're on a diet, whether it's fashion, food, whatever, sometimes with our mindset, you might be focused on what you don't have, and where your attention goes, your energy flows. And so you're focused on, I don't have this. And so you get stuck on, I really want that chocolate chip, or I really want that bag, or I really want that jacket.
Because you can't have it.
Because you can't have it.
So sometimes extreme rigid boundaries are very difficult to maintain.
Yes.
So, that's where here at the Intentional Wardrobe Movement, we always say, even just dipping the toe, dipping the toe in the pool.
Right.
You're doing good things for yourself. So we're not necessarily saying it must be 74 and you can't have more than 5. Definitely not what we're, espousing here. But I do think it's so good to hear these kinds of things, because when you hear, hey, I can make a functioning wardrobe with 74 items. I can do it with only buying 5 pieces per season. Other people have done it. I can do this. It's just, we're a community, y'all. We're a group. This is a lifestyle, but we're all in it together.
Yeah.
And so every tiny little bit counts.
Right. Proof that it's possible. Someone else has done it, so you are able to do it if you want.
That's right.
You don't have to, though.
And here's the other thing that I love about what you just said. You said the number 5. And I was going to say that in my research, I found the number 5 is important for so many other reasons. And this really brings us to why. Why are we needing to do this? Like, why should we all be just a little bit more conscious of our overconsumption? Because it really is creating some negative effects and impacting other people, other societies, our environment, our oceans, animals, even yourself. So those things are happening right now. So what the amazing Berlin Research Hot or Cool Institute came up with was 5 is what you need a year.
Oh, wow.
Not a season.
Oh my gosh.
It's a year.
5 a year.
5 a year. So I love that you said 5. It's just that I want to pull it back just a little bit and say but it should actually be 5 a year. And here is why.
Okay.
Because this institute determined that by purchasing 5 new garments a year, it will stay in line with the Paris Agreement, which has the goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius annually.
Wow.
Right. And in order to do that, we really are looking at the biggest offenders, which the United States is one of those big offenders: Australia, Japan, US, and the UK. We found out that we have the highest carbon footprint per capita when it comes to fashion consumption. So what they're saying is this isn't a like to have. This is actually sort of a need to have.
A need, yes.
So if we are going to place environment at the top, and you know what? I mean, we all live here. So
we all live in
we really probably should try not to kill the earth. So these are things that we need to quantitatively be considering. And when we're talking fashion consumption, we're in the US, we're part of it. So part of our job here is to really come up with some self-control mechanisms to make sure that we're doing our part, which is really slowing down what we're consuming. And that goal is 5 a year. So if we can all do that, then we're really going to make the change that we need to make just to help from an environmental standpoint. But I also have to say the negative, the why. I think about what it does to you. And I think about how it really, I mean, there's more than just the money aspect of buying.
Yeah.
It's also this time associated with it. And I had read an article, Emily Chan, she's the sustainable writer for British Vogue. Love her stuff. Y'all should definitely read it. She's really great. And she talked about how when she did the 5 item per year.
Oh, I have to read this article.
5 item per year. She did it. And one of her biggest takeaways was that she just got back her time.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't realize how much time you spend scrolling.
Truly.
And mindlessly looking at, oh gosh, I mean, it's cottagecore or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
That is, it's always a core.
Some kind of core.
Some kind
I did
of core.
like Barbiecore.
I mean, Barbiecore is my jam.
I know.
I'm also a big fan of pink. So go Barbiecore. But no, it's always a core.
Yeah.
It's always changing. It's constantly, and there's just this whole trying to catch up or trying to keep up with the Joneses where you're just, you need to see the information. Or I'm always like, oh, sale, because I'm the financial minded one. So I'm like, I don't want to buy it full price. But if it's 20% off, then I can click that button. So I will obsess over, I need to go to Net-a-Porter, or I need to go to My Teresa, or whatever it is.
Had their sale.
You know what I did? Because I was preparing for all of this. I feel like maybe I just have sale fatigue too at this point, but I think I was wasting. When I read Emily Chan's article, I really felt like I'm going to give me time back.
Yeah,
I'm
that's a great way to think about it.
I'm going to just take back my time.
Take back your time.
Take back. That's our T.
Yes, that's right. Take back.
Take back. Take it back, y'all.
That's right.
Take control of this. The intentional wardrobe movement, we're giving you real ways. It's the T and who we are, and what we would love for y'all to do is to take back a lot of things in this instance. And one of that is time. So it's really giving you an opportunity to invest in yourself.
But also take back your brain energy, because you'll have less decision fatigue having all those other things. Yes. So take back energy for your brain.
Yes. And you've talked a lot about the why behind the Steve Jobs and the one uniform that he had. It was so simplistic to all of us.
Right.
But I know that you've said in the past, it helped just because obviously Steve Jobs had a lot of things going on in that brain.
Lots.
And it gave him the space.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there is a term for it,
yeah,
right?
but it's basically like that you're making so many decisions, so you use basically less brain energy on what you're wearing, which we do like to look cute, but then also there'll be just less to choose from, and you can make a really easy decision based on what you have, and then use that brain energy to like really go into whatever you're working on, your hobbies, whatever that is.
Well, and
Children.
I love that too, because there was this, I think it was a Netflix series called 100 Humans. I don't know if anybody saw
I
this.
haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, it was one of my binge watching through the pandemic. But it talked about how they look at different people, 100 different people throughout the different stages or the generations. And it talked about people between their 40s and 50s, about how our circuits are basically overloaded. Whereas people were like, oh, we would never think that, you know, an 18-year-old in college or a 75-year-old retiree would be able to retain the kind of information because we're at the prime of our lives and all this. But what really happened is that you found out that the 40s and 50s really struggled because we've got a lot of juggling. There's so much brain energy that is expended on all the things. Just all the things, like work and dinner and children
pickup,
and
sports,
looking cute
and
partners,
right,
and cars when they break down on you,
that
or
this morning.
subway closure that happened when I was in London. I was like, wait, why are they just closing down a whole line? So there's a lot that just goes into all of this. Mortgages and you know, just a lot. And so our brains are very overloaded, and there's something really great to know that if there was a person like Steve Jobs who was like, I'm not going to waste that brain energy on that. Think about where you can take that brain energy. You could put that more into being an amazing parent or being a great fan for your kids, you know, your kids' sports team or your college team. Because we all know my husband is a big college football fan. No, you could really, or your career.
Yeah,
you
so
take that
many
mental
things.
energy into other things. So yeah, can give you some space.
I love that.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how. I want to hear.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I have a good how. I don't know about this. I mean, I really like the 1 in, 1 out. I feel like that's a very practical way to do it.
Yes.
But I don't have a better way, or I can't think of a better way.
Well, you know, I always like to boil it down to me, I think that what helps me is to clearly define something. I can't really get behind something if it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, right?
That makes sense.
So the first thing I came up with when I sat down to write this, I was like, oh, this may seem really basic, but define what, you know, sufficient wardrobe means to you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that's what happens.
Yes.
You and I try these challenges. We do all of these things. And then we're just like, oh, there's a new thing.
Let's try it.
We want to be sustainable, right? And so we hop on this bandwagon. Whereas I think what I have found more valuable in my life is to say, and even with working with my clients through the years, I've said, okay, let's just boil it down to what is sufficient wardrobe. You know, you've got 12 pairs of the same exact mother jeans. And you're like, oh, but the Lycra is so great at these. Like, I don't know what it is. The stretch just holds all the parts in. But you're like, but yet they're the same exact one. It's the whatever, right? Like, oh, but I really love it. It was on sale. I found myself doing this the other day. I was in New Orleans, doing some shopping, as you do in New Orleans. You eat, but then you have to buy new clothes because you've eaten so much. And it was 1,000 degrees outside. But I found myself being like, I gravitate. These mother jeans were on sale for like nothing. I mean, they were like nothing. And I thought, oh, but that's my favorite jean. I had to like take a breath. It was almost like, oh, wait, no, I don't need more of those. I have defined what a workable wardrobe is for me. I know that I don't need the jeans.
No.
You don't need 50 pairs. You can, even if you're, you know, being conscious about your laundry, you're supposed to rewear. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do. So take that time, which is one of my hows for you. Just take the time to define what is workable.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Okay, so next is, it's always going to come from me because I am the one with the retail and the resale, right? So I'm always going to say resale.
Yeah.
Resale is a great option. And also samples. You know, we love our samples.
We love our samples.
We just love it. But also, you know, we're really into vintage.
Yeah.
We're into resale. And so, I mean, I worked for the Real Real, so I'm really into resale.
We shop a lot at the Real Real.
We shop a lot at the Real Real. But you know, what you're doing when you're making that choice is you're saying these are already created, they're already in circulation.
Yes.
So I'm just making a more sustainable choice. It shouldn't supersede. So that number of 5, I did dig deep on that. Like, what if I buy resale? No, the Institute really says, no, it doesn't matter if it's resale, but it's a great way of how you could practically dip a toe in the pool, make the climb up the mountain, right? So definitely consider that.
Yes, definitely.
And then we always talk about like extending the life. This is her thing.
Yes. So
extending of the life.
Right. So that's what I was going to bring up is basically how can you wear it differently? And so if you are stuck on how to wear it differently, I just sent this out on my email newsletter, is basically you look for inspiration. So you can look on Pinterest, you can look on Google, you can look in like retail, you know, catalogs, like whatever your favorite retailer
Amazing influencers.
Yeah. Amazing influencers. And you can just see how to wear something differently. Like, oh, I never thought about pairing that with that. Or I never thought about like wearing this backwards. Or I never thought about like with a cardigan. Like you can totally do that.
Yeah. What you did with that tank top.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a clip-on. Was it even a pin? It was like a clip-on earring, right?
Oh, no.
You had the 2 tank top sleeves and then you take the sleeves off. It was a necklace.
It was a necklace.
It was a necklace.
You make it into a halter top.
Yeah. And then you make it into a halter. It was great. So, you know, Sam obviously on her feed has a lot of great ideas. You know, just consider that we all need to make an effort on extending the life of our purchases. And that means recirculate.
Yes.
Right. So
Yay.
go resale, recirculate, give it back to someone who might be using it. If you know it doesn't work within your essential wardrobe, mend it. Right. I don't know how to sew. She does. I don't sew.
Well, even if you don't sew, there's even like the iron-on tape. Like that can help you with stuff. Like
never done this. I really, this is my pledge. I'm learning how to do all of these things. But this is iron-on tape. So there you go.
You can like do a hem that way if you want.
Yes, and I saw the other day you can even mend your sweaters. So there's a lot that you should be doing and can do. And if you can't do, I'm a big fan of always going to a professional.
Right, and they know how to do it. And then also this will help like justify your cost per wear. So if you spent a certain amount of money and you felt like it was kind of expensive, wearing it that many times, so many times will like justify how much you spent on it.
Yes. So if I want to, for example, what search term do you think I should use if I'm on TikTok or Instagram or something and I'm looking for somebody like you to give me ideas about how you can change things up for reuse, more creative styling? What would a search term be? Because I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I think so for my hashtags, I use style tip, style hack, and
style hack. That is the one. I've typed up style tip, but I've never done style hack. So that's a good tip. Any others that we can use?
Those are the two main, like, because that's when I'm doing tutorials. You could do style tutorials.
Yes. Okay, so then that's going to give you creative ideas about how to use whatever it is that you have in different and interesting ways.
And then how to.
Yes. Oh, and how to. Okay.
How to. Like how to wear a scarf or
how to. Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And then, you know, reuse. Obviously, we talk about being a proud reuser. Yes. If you've got those 74 items, you're going to have to be, if you only have 6 work outfits, you're going to have to reuse and mix and match. But I do want to give you a little bit of a statistic on this because I want to encourage you to do those things. So according to the waste charity called WRAP, extending the average life of a garment by 9 months can reduce its carbon footprint by around 25%.
Wow.
Which is really incredible. Well, so
yeah, because like the fashion industry takes up about 10% of carbon emissions. So that's like reversing so much more. I mean, like that's amazing.
Yeah. So really those 3 ways you could definitely extend that life of that product. And when you buy something, think in your mind, okay, I need to have this at least 9 months or more, and I need to wear it. So went on one in, one out, which is what you had said. So just keep that in the back of your mind. But really, if you can just extend that life of the garment, you know, just by 9 months, you can reduce its carbon footprint.
I mean, 25% is huge.
25% is huge. So you would really be making an impact.
It's huge.
Okay, so I also went on this weird rabbit hole about laundry practices.
I want to hear about it.
Okay, so I'm going to give you guys so many facts on this because I guess I jumped on the bandwagon of like, oh yeah, wash everything in cold. Don't always dry it on a dryer, like dry it outside or whatever. But there were some interesting facts and some tips that I want you to all absorb and really say like, okay, maybe I just try 1 or 2, but these are great. So we all know washing in cold water reduces your personal carbon footprint by as much as 10%. And a Harvard study told us that it's just as effective as washing in hot. So that's an easy move. So just switch to washing everything in cold and you're golden. Air drying clothes, which and you've said before, like, oh, put it out in the sun. Yeah, for the germs. She's a big put it in the sun. But just air drying any of your clothes, it can help reduce your climate impact by as much as 67%. And
huge.
this is from Colorado State University.
Wow.
So 67% just by air drying. Thank you, Colorado State University. We love that you're giving us these numbers.
Yeah.
And then, and I do try to do this. I will hound my children like, I need more clothes. I need more clothes. Wash only full loads.
See, I am like that too,
I am
including the
definitely like
dishwasher.
this. Yes, me too.
But
I am definitely like
we
this
have
because I
arguments
don't.
in our house.
Oh, I'm crazy about that. It has to be full or I'm not running it. Okay, another how is to practice a well-organized closet.
Yes.
Which you are very good at. Most of us aren't though. Do you have any tips about how you organize your closet?
Well, I mean, I do like things to be aesthetically pleasing, and we have talked about this. I do like the whole Roy G. Biv, the rainbow colors, and so I try to do that. But then I also do it by. Do you mean like actually how I'm organized? I organize it by types of clothing, so like tops, skirts, pants, dresses, and then shoes. Then like in my shoes, you can kind of see, like you can see a heel, you can see the front, so you can see, basically you want things visible because if you can't see them, you won't be able to use them.
That is exactly what I wrote down.
Yes.
That is one of my big sayings
Yes.
when I was at the Row. It was always like, you can't use what you can't see.
Yes.
So it is really important that you find a system that works for you.
Yeah.
And I always start with black. I do black and then I do navy and then I do white and gray because those are my.
I like it.
There's no color in my
I was
wardrobe.
like, wait, where's the rest?
It's the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. And the rainbow in my world starts with black, everyone. And that's okay. And I think even with your shoes, I did notice that you turn one, and that's certainly something that somebody else uses. I use those drop down clear boxes from the Container Store, and I actually have a system where I do my heels inside the clear boxes because I don't use them as much, so I don't like them to get dusty. I'm a little OCD about the germs and the dust, everyone. So, and then on top I put my flats because I use my flats or my sneakers every day. Obviously, like my fashion sneakers because, you know, who's really working out? Only occasionally, and I wear actual tennis court shoes. So, but no, I put the flats on top and then I do it by color, but I don't like to flip them. I like to look at my shoes from the front.
Oh.
I need to know if it's pointy. I need to know if it's square. I need to know if it's, I just need to know. I need to know the round because that actually corresponds. And now you have to look at this because she's my buddy and we go out all the time. She'll have to check and see. So it corresponds to my mood. Sometimes I feel coquettish and I want to wear a round toe. And sometimes I feel, you know, very fashion forward. And so I do a square. Sometimes I feel like I just need to get on point, and so I do a pointy toe, and you know when I have on that pointy toe, and then other times I just wear the flip-flops. So, you know, it just has, but the shoe is a thing, and then for the handbags, I've seen it done so many ways.
Yes.
But how do you best present? I mean, I know that you have like your showcase pieces, but in terms of like your everyday handbags, how do you like to display them so that you wear them?
Well, that's a great question. I do kind of wear like cool, because that's the thing. I try to be an equal opportunist for all my clothes and my bags. So like, but I wear them all. So, but the thing is, I try to just like, so I am very, I guess, I don't know if I have to be somewhat efficient. So for example, clutches or whatever, they're all on the side so I can see the color and I kind of know, or my bags are all to the side so I can see what color it is.
So
I go by
use
colors.
I see the clutches. I see you clutches.
They're not all clutches, but they're kind of skinnier.
Do you use I don't see the plastic, because sometimes some people use that. I stress out. I'm going to tell you why I don't use them. I'm worried, as a resale queen, I'm worried that they're going to scratch my bags, because I'm very crazy about that. But I notice you don't dust bag your bags.
No,
because you do use them.
Because I do, because I want to see them, and if I dust bag them, I won't see them. But the problem is, if you are not conscious of your space, then you will have buckles that are pressing onto the leather of another bag. I've done that, and that's why I know. And so you have to make sure everyone has breathing space, including your clothes, which has not always been the case for me, but your clothes and your shoes, everyone needs to have breathing space so they don't smush up on each other, color transfer, all that kind of stuff. Yes.
Which I was going to say, the damage just strikes fear in my heart. It happens because I've seen so many beautiful, beautiful things that have had damage or color transfer, and at that point, that's when you're really having a hard time recirculating your product, because you literally like, I just want to give you this Gucci bag that had a weird color transfer on it because I sat it next to some denim. And that is where we are now stuck with this product that no one will then take. So you invested a large amount of money in it. You're not going to recoup that investment, and an investment piece like a handbag, you oftentimes can get some money back for it. So always keep that in the back of your mind. But then we're now stuck with a beautiful, and this is the hardest thing for me. I now have to say goodbye to a Gucci bag, because they are just beautiful things. Gucci was that was my entry level bag. So that was my favorite. I love me some Gucci. Plus Gucci and The Real Real had done a collab when I first started working at The Real Real, where they planted a tree. And so, Gucci, Gucci, I love you. But I get really sad when I think, this is an incredible piece. Maybe it's vintage. That makes me sad even more, because once you pass that 10-year mark, then your handbags can start gaining some more momentum in terms of resale value, but also just like a beautiful thing was lost in the world.
I know. Well, so especially with patent and the darker denim, that's like, those are the two things that really cause a lot of issues. There are spas, like there are certain things.
Yes,
you can get it repaired.
Okay, but please, please, this is where my resale value, I want to impart this knowledge on you. Make sure you go back to the brand.
Yeah.
So if you are spying it, as we all know, that really is the Hermes term, but if you are spying it for your bag, please, Louis Vuitton everybody will take their stuff back. They really, really will. And I took this diaper bag that I used. I mean, it looked like it was, I cannot believe that anyone would spa this thing, but Gucci, thank you, Gucci. Gucci spot it. But yeah, and I've had some Louis Vuittons I've used as makeup bags, some clutches over the years, and they've taken them and helped me with it. So please try. Have you ever had anyone tell you no on spying a bag?
Well, no, but it made me think of a different thing. I want you to finish
that. Okay. No, I think I wrote exactly what you're saying. If you don't see it, you can't use it. Okay, nice.
But then, so let's say you take it to somewhere and they're like, we refuse to spa you. Okay, so I don't know if that's how,
this can happen.
It can happen.
If there's a major tear and there's there's an actual inch where if there's physical tear in the product, specifically if it's a canvas or it was a coated canvas, I have seen that happen in the past. Or luggage. Y'all don't check your luggage. Keep that Gucci and keep that Louis Vuitton luggage in your hands. Like, make sure you are not checking it through. But that's when you've got those significant tears where I have seen people be like, I can't get it I mean, it's really significant.
Okay,
But
so
do we have it? Do we have it?
I have an idea. So there are specialists who actually will, create art on your bag. So there's a way to camouflage, like if there's a stain. Now, some of them are more skilled and maybe repairing things. I don't know. Depends on the person. But there are artists who will camouflage that spot for you and make it very unique.
And that's upcycling.
That is upcycling.
There you go. Which is one of our favorite things. It's upcycling. I love this idea of going to someone to create art out of it, because really there's nothing that hurts me more when I would be handed a bag and be like, I can't take this. Now, somebody like The Real has found that as the economy ebbs and flows, so does demand for certain products. So they have in the past allowed, sort of opened that door to more fair condition product.
Yes.
It is going to be priced like that, so you're not going to recoup as much when you go to resell, but there are folks out there who will go for something has as is, and it's a little bit more loved, as I like to say. But we definitely want to keep those things going.
I don't mind buying as is. In fact, I bought a
Really?
used, that bag right there is a Bottega. It's as is.
I was eyeing this Bottega, y'all.
And so we can list some of these artists, but she sold it and it was as is.
It was as is, and do you know, was it wear and tear on the handle? I feel like
I'll show it to you.
You should show it to us.
Oh, should I show it to you? Okay.
I think we should see it, because so it's around the handle.
Yes.
You should see what Sam has done with this bag.
So this is, I'm going to brag about my friend Chris, who's in Dallas. So she is an artist. So she does paint things on items, but she also will find you luxury items. So this basically, there was wear and tear on this bag. It was as is, it was less than $400. I mean, this bag.
This Bottega.
Okay, so but let me take off the scarf so you can see what it looks like, because I want you to see.
Okay, this is really great. So this is where the creativity comes in.
She was like, "Are you sure?" She's like, "I thought I was gonna have it repainted, but I didn't. Or I thought about having it dyed."
And it's so cute.
Right?
We just throw a little scarf.
Exactly. I was like,
and
no
we
big
do
deal.
see. Okay, so that is something, just seeing thousands and thousands of products every day while working at The Real. This is where you do, especially in a hobo, you see a lot of wear and tear around that shoulder piece. Sometimes you can see stitching, it's coming off, there's fraying, and there are things that you can certainly do there. But I mean, that's a fantastic idea. and color transfer and those kinds of things. So I love the idea of putting a scarf there to just maybe make that happen for you. So love that. And the butter, y'all. Love me some Bottega.
It was hard to resist this one.
And Bottega is, as a retail brand too, Bottega does make a lot of steps to try and be sustainable. Luxury brands, it's sort of hard, y'all. But in the world of luxury fashion, there are definite standouts that are making efforts, and Bottega is one of them. So if you love the butter leather, I think Bottega for us, just in terms of when we were young, it reminds me, my mom had this incredible purple Bottega bag. It was old school, y'all. It was old school. But the feel of that bag, it will never leave you.
Well made.
The way, and they actually still hand make their bags. So that's another thing to consider if you are looking for a bag that is handmade. Some of the luxury bags are not all of them are. Do your research, y'all. But that is. So, okay, I loved how and there's obviously some staining here, which will happen with a light colored bag.
Yes.
It's just the way that it's going to be. Some folks say, hey, I'm going to rock my inner Olsen twin and carry around my beat up bag and be okay with that.
Right.
And there is something to be said for something that has been used several times.
Yes, loved.
Yeah, loved is good. But if you are, I get a little OCD when my bags start to show considerable wear. And so I love the idea of that. And I've never seen it done in all the 4 years that I worked with people. So please start doing that if you're there. And then I also saw, we talk a lot, but just Sam and I, just as people, just as friends, just as people, just as humans, not when we're in our role as sustainable champions, but when we're just talking, we talk a lot about how positivity can affect many kinds of things in your life. So one of the things that I wrote down in thinking of you and just all the great energy that Sam puts out in the world is consider the upsides. Like, how are you going to do this with 74 things, buying 5 things a year? Just look at the positive sides. Make lemonade out of the lemons. And I actually wrote down a Willie Nelson quote, y'all, because I have a story of wearing my first Chanel. Willie Nelson and fashion, to me, always, as one does. They're synonymous. They go hand in hand. No, but for me, I think about Willie Nelson because I was living in Manhattan, working on Wall Street, and my first Chanel handbag that I ever bought for myself, I took it to a Willie Nelson concert in New York City.
Wow. He went there? First of all, I didn't even know.
I mean, and I feel like it was a long time ago when this happened, and Willie Nelson was definitely in the prime of his career. But so for me, when I found this quote, it was amazing. It says, Willie Nelson, quote, "Once you replace negative thoughts with positive ones, you'll start having positive results."
I love that.
Willie Nelson.
So good. That's such a good quote.
It's a really good quote. And I want you to pick up on that positive energy. Yeah. Because that's something we share with each other too. I feel like Sam is always looking at things with, the bright side. And so she does. And so I think that positivity rubs off on you, and really you'll seeing the effects of that in the future. And so you can always say, what is the positive side of controlling myself in this way when it comes to fashion consumption? Well, it saves money, it saves time, saves the planet. Yeah. So, all good things. So look at the bright side.
So many positives.
And then you can see where those things are going to be. They'll give back to you. You give to the positivity in the world, it'll give back to you.
Yes.
And then I also say, we always say start small.
Yes. Start small.
And I have a little strategy where I, 1 for 6 strategy where I say, okay, over 6 weeks, just try to control buying one item in a category. It's sort of hard to do. So 1 clothing, 1 accessory, 1 shoe, 1 handbag. So that's more than 5 a year. 1 for 6 though. But in starting small, that gives you a little bit of just okay, like how did I do?
Right. I mean, if you are buying like 15 items in 6 weeks,
this is a good start.
Going to that is a great start.
Yeah. So you know what? Pat yourself on the back. Like, you can do some things, and you can feel good about just making an effort of some kind. That's all we really here at the Intentional Wardrobe Movement. We're really just saying, hey guys, you stopped here on the YouTube station, you stopped on the podcast. There's some interest. You're not really sure how to connect the two of like, how do I make this work? Like, how does it functionally fit into my lifestyle? But there has to be some sort of effort because you're here with us. Right. So I love it.
There's just little things you can do.
Like little things. Yeah, absolutely. Things. Oh, and then the last one. And here is where I always boil it down to. When I go to the gym, I don't always do it alone because I really do not like working out. So the last thing that I have to say is, if this is something that you want to practice in your life, you want to make an effort toward, it's also okay for you to bring someone along, a professional who knows about sustainability and knows about fashion, but bring someone else along for the ride. Just like I'm not going to I would love to say that I would just cycle on my own. I don't. I go to Cycle Bar. Thank you, Cycle Bar.
Oh,
Cycle Bar for work.
I was thinking like Upcycle. I'm like, what?
No.
Actual cycling.
Actual cycle. I clip my little feet in, and then there's I love it because it's sort of like yoga for your feet. I prefer to go along in my journeys
with a community.
Yeah. And so if you want to have someone just sort of guiding you on the journey, then don't discredit working with a professional stylist who's focused on sustainability, because they can really help you with that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, a lot of us if you're in a sport, you have a coach. And if you are looking to up-level your style or fashion, you can go to a stylist.
Yeah.
And they can help guide you.
And it's fun.
And it's so much fun.
Working with someone is so fun.
Yes.
So, okay, that's what I have.
Yes. Oh, except the call to action.
Yes. So what is our call to action
our call to action is actually part of our movement. And so it is intentionally shop. So set goals monthly, wait 3 days before purchasing, and one goes out if one comes in. So instead of just the one in, one out, like before that, go way back. Like she's always talking about the why, go way back and define your goals, then wait your 3 days. That's hard.
The waiting the 3 days is so good.
But it's so good.
It's so good because then you really, that's where you are able to decipher a want versus a need.
It's helped me.
Yeah, it because just having that pause.
Yeah.
And I would do that with my kids all the time. Like, oh, well, you know what? I got to wait 3 days. That's my rule. That's mommy's rule. I have driven back to the zoo to go get that umbrella. Weirdly, it was something he wanted after 3 days. But really, it is such a freeing thing. And it's easy to do. You know, the intentional wardrobe movement, we put the I in there because intentional shopping, intentional styling, these are things you can do. And that is really the crux of what we learned today when we talked about want versus needs.
Want versus need.
Intentional shop.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. Cheers to A Conscious Closet. We'll see you next week. Bye.